What's going on, Mets fans, and welcome back to Everything Mets. Josh here, and today we're just going to get into the game from yesterday, review it, go over some things, go over some highlights from the games yesterday against the Cardinals. It was Taiwan Walker's first start, and a few other things happened, and we'll get right into that right now on the Cardinals Mets spring training review for March 9th. So like I said, Taiwan Walker got his first start of the spring for the Mets yesterday against the Cards, and he started off the top of the first with a quick 2 strikeouts for the Mets, and he was going right at the hitters aggressively, throwing inside. And SNY, if you were watching, they showed his grip on the split finger, and that pitch was just dropping off the table. So that's just one thing I got written down from the top of the first in my notes here, that his split finger was really dominating, and he was just going, like I said, at the hitters inside. And that was also McCann, too, behind the plate, just calling for him inside. Nothing really happened in the Mets' bottom of the first, and the Mets' bats really didn't wake up until the bottom of the 7th inning against the Cards yesterday. So, moving on to the top of the second and Walker's work, he gave up a leadoff walk to start off the top of the second, so that you got to cut that out, but that's okay for start of the spring. And then we had a nice diving grab by O'Mara over in right field. The run did score on the play, but still a really nice diving grab by O'Mara. It was just him flashing the leather over there, and if he can do that, he's definitely going to make the roster. And there's another note I took somewhere in here we'll get to about he's just really impressing me all spring and through the first week of spring at least. But the Cards were up 2-0 after the top second. Diaz came on to pitch the top of the third for us. He came in for Walker, who finished with 36 pitches thrown, 23 of them being strikes, so not a bad day for him with the location and stuff. But Edwin came in, he had a 1-2-3 inning with 2 strikeouts on 15 pitches thrown, 10 of them being strike. So a good appearance by him. As every Met fan knows, if we can get him back to his Seattle form and 2018 form, that would be huge for us and just our pen in general, because we need him. He would be a key piece for us. Moving on to the top of the fourth now, just the highlight from that inning. Trevor May came in for Diaz, and he gave up a leadoff home run to Justin Williams of the Cardinals to left field. But honestly, the wind got a hold of it, so it wouldn't have been a home run any other day. It would have just been a pop-up to left. But the wind really got a hold of it, and it took it out of the yard. But he finished with 2 strikeouts to end the inning and a ground out also. So besides that home run, which he didn't even, like I keep saying, the wind blew it out, so it was a bogus home run. He didn't have that bad of an appearance in his second of the spring. And most pitchers were in their second appearance of the spring, too, just for that side note, too. But he threw 22 pitches, and 13 of them were for strikes, So the Cards were up 3-0 after the top fourth. And then moving on to the bottom of the fourth, we finally had some action with the Mets bats here in my notes, as Brandon Drury and Albert Almora got back-to-back singles, and Drury went first to third on Almora's hit. And like I said, Almora's continuing his little spring hot streak that he has and continuing to impress me at least. So there's that little side note I put down. Then Jonas C. Fargas comes up and he struck out to end the inning, leaving runners on second and third, leaving them on. So that's ducks on the pond there. Moving on, Familia came in, and he came into the pitch for the top of the fifth for the Mets, his second of the spring also, and he got the lead off to strikeout swinging, and then got a walk to Matt Carpenter, followed by 2 groundouts, and a better second appearance in the spring for Familia, as he got through it somewhat smoothly. Had to work a little bit, but he threw 20 pitches and 11 of those were for strikes. And then nothing happened with the Mets bats again in the bottom of the 5th inning, so we move on to the top of the 6th, and Miguel Castro came in for Familia, and he has a 1-2-3 inning with 2 strikeouts. A good appearance for him today with 11 pitches, 8 of them being for strikes, so smooth appearance for Castro and just coming in and getting some work in. Good to see out of him. Moving on to the top of the 7th, quick Tommy Hunter came in. He got some work in the top 7. He got a quick first out, but then had to grind out the rest of his inning somewhat, honestly. And he should have had 2 quick outs, but a 3-2 sinker that was definitely a strike was called a ball by C.B. Buckner behind the plate, so it is what it is. Like I say, spring for everybody. Hunter went on to finish with a strikeout and 2 walks. A little bit rougher of a day for him in his second spring appearance, but he finished with 24 pitches and 13 strikes. But like I said, a little bit rougher of an appearance here in his second spring appearance. So hopefully he can bounce back in his next appearance. And then moving on to the bottom of the 7th, this inning was this half inning was pretty long. So hold on here, we got some notes flying at you. Runners were on first and second for Kevin Pillar when he came up and had a nice rip down the left field line for a single Brett Beatty scored from second, and Drew Ferguson went over to third base. Jose Peraza then came up and he grounded into a fielder's choice, or what should have been a fielder's choice, to third base. And Ferguson scored on that from third, but a throwing error from the third baseman for the Cards had the Mets on with runners on first and third with one out. Polar Bear Pete coming up and he drew a walk, and that loaded the bases up. Pete Crow Armstrong then scored on a wild pitch that was thrown to Khalil Lee to tie the game up at 3. The ball actually hit Lee, but the ump didn't see it. So, but like I keep saying, a bring for everybody. So the run scored anyways. So I tied it up at 3-3. Catcher Caleb Joseph then came up for the Metties, and he drew a walk to load them back up. And then Ronnie Mauricio, the young prospect, the young one, comes up and he singles with a big hit over the shortstop's glove, driving in 2 runs. And that was a huge hit for Ronnie, as it proved to be the game winner and the go-ahead, actually. So just really great to see all the glimpse of the future, really, for the Mets, with him, Beatty, Crow Armstrong, and so on, etc. So it's just really good to see them all just putting in work and getting things done for the Mets and getting us back in the lead. And like I said, just a beautiful glimpse of the future. So the Mets were up 5-3 after 7 innings, and Drew Smith came in to pitch the top of the 8th for the Mets, and he came in for Tommy Hunter, and he finished up with a 1 strikeout to go along with a fly out and a ground out. He had 2 3-2 counts, but besides that, it was a smooth second appearance of the spring for Smith as he competes for a spot on the roster. Malik Smith then came up and he drew a walk and stole second in the bottom of the 8th, and I just want to say this as a quick side note, nothing really happened here. But he needs to keep stealing bases, that's what he needs to do if he wants to make the opening year roster, which is pretty much obvious to every Mets fan. Just every chance he gets, he needs to rob a base. And the only reason I'm saying this is because yesterday he would have been thrown out on his steal of second if the throw would have been a better throw by Ali Sanchez behind the plate for the Cardinals. So he needs to put in his work and do that, or he's going to end up like Billy Hamilton last year for us, off the roster in 3 weeks. But Pete Crow Armstrong, also in the bottom of the 8th, just want to get to this. He came up and hit a bomb to right, but it was against the wind, so it got hung up and just before the warning track, so that didn't get out. But it was a bomb to right field, so I thought it was out, and so did everyone else pretty much. So, but it was a nice hit by him, good contact by him. Then just moving on to the top 9th here, finishing it off for the Mets, came in Sam Mcwilliams, the big guy. And he came in and he struggled with his control, working the first 3 batters he faced to 3-1 counts. And he walked the first 3 batters he faced, like I said, those were all on 3-1 counts he worked them to. If I'm right here looking at, he went to 3-ball count with 5 of the 6 batters he faced, and he did get out of the bases loaded jam with a pop-up. And he also added a strikeout to his spring stats today. But he really struggled for us out there, and he needs to bounce back on his next appearance because he was all over the place. He was throwing it behind batters' heads, and it just did not look like a MLB pitcher, and he needs to locate that fastball because it was literally all over the place. So just not a good day from him. And I don't see him making the roster. He doesn't look like a major league pitcher to me, but what do I know? I'm not a major league scout. I'm just an armchair coach, manager, whatever you want to say. But that's my opinion. He needs to work on his control. Shouldn't be working 3-ball counts to 5 of the 6 hitters. That's just but he did finish it off, and the Mets did get the 5-3 win. Just my players a note here. I got, of course, Taiwan Walker in his first spring start. He went 2 innings pitched. He gave up 2 earned runs, 2 hits. He gave up 2 walks, and he also finished with 2 strikeouts. So not bad in his first spring start, like I went over earlier. Also, Edwin Diaz, he came in, got 2 strikeouts and zeros everywhere else on the board. So it was a good day for him, smooth sailing. Just nice to see him getting back to that. Almora had a 1-for-2 day, and that's just nothing else really happened for him. He had that diving catch and right, but he just keeps impressing me, something about him. So he just needs to keep doing that, and I'm sure he's impressing everyone else. At least for me, at least. Then my final player of the note, and probably my player of the day, would be Ronnie Mauricio. He came in, he was just 1-for-1, but those 2 RBIs were the go-ahead RBIs and 2-run single. So that knock he had there in the 7th, he came up clutch for us. And it's just, like I said before, it's just nice to see all those young guns getting out there and getting some work and just bringing us back in for the win. So that's your Mets Cards spring training review from yesterday, March 9th. If you enjoyed, please leave a thumbs up. If you didn't, leave a thumbs down. Do whatever. It all helps the channel out. And just comment anything that you want to leave or anything that you think I may have missed or that you want to just discuss, and I'll try to get back to you. And I hope you have a great rest of your day, and let's go Mets. Josh out.